All right, welcome back. Today, we are diving deep. We're getting into the nuts and bolts of eShare's tokenomics, looking at the actual numbers and the specific mechanics that are designed to create what you could call a textbook supply squeeze. Let's get right into it.
Okay, but before we go any further, you know the drill. We have to get this out of the way. This is absolutely not financial advice. Everything we're about to talk about comes from public information, and you've got to remember, eShare is a high-risk, super volatile, microcap asset. We're here to break down the design, not to tell you what to do with your money.
So, where are we starting from? Right now, with a price hovering around $12 a token, the entire market cap for all of eShare is just $660,000. To put that in perspective, in the crypto world, that is tiny. It's a true microcap, and this really low starting point is the key to understanding the kind of growth potential we're going to explore.
So the first piece of this whole puzzle, and honestly probably the most critical, is scarcity. The entire idea here is built on an asset that is, by its very design, just incredibly rare.
So just how scarce are we talking? Well, the total supply is capped forever at just 55,000 tokens. That's it. We're not talking millions or billions with some complicated release schedule. Nope, it's a fixed, hard limit. And that number, that absolute scarcity, is the foundation for everything else. This chart really puts that number in perspective, doesn't it? That little bar on the left, that's eShare. And on the right, that's what a typical DeFi token supply looks like, which can easily be in the hundreds of millions or even billions. The difference is just wild. It's like comparing a one-of-a-kind collector's car to a mass-produced sedan. It's not even in the same league.
And here's the kicker. That supply is actually designed to shrink over time. No new eShare will ever be created. In fact, tokens are constantly being pulled out of circulation through things like being locked into liquidity or just straight up burned. This creates a constant, relentless downward pressure on the available supply. That's the heart of a supply squeeze.
So we have extreme scarcity. That's part one. But rarity alone doesn't create value, right? For scarcity to matter, you have to have demand. And this is where the second part of the engine comes in, a whole network of systems built specifically to create constant, automated buying pressure.
So how does the system actually generate this demand? Well, think of it like a bunch of pipes. Each pipe is carrying revenue from a different part of the ecosystem. You've got ETH from marketplace fees, USDC from bond yields, you name it. And all these different pipes, all these different value streams, they all flow into one single place, a mechanism that does one thing, and one thing only, constantly and automatically buys eShare right off the open market.
Let's look at the specific engines that are actually driving this thing. First up, the Fusion Marketplace tax. It's collected in ETH and then boom, used to buy eShare for stakers. Next, profits from the DexFi bonds. They're used to buy eShare and then permanently lock it up in liquidity pools. Then you've got revenue from the HVM game. A slice of that is dedicated to buying even more eShare. And finally, fees from partnerships also get funneled into buying and burning. Each one of these is like a little automated buyer, working 24/7.
Okay, so now we bring it all together. On one side, you have this extremely scarce deflationary asset. On the other side, you have multiple forced automated sources of demand. Let's take a look at what this potent combination could actually mean when you translate it into potential market cap numbers.
So what could this look like in the real world? Let's just play out a few what-if scenarios, starting from that super low base. A 10x from where we are now would put eShare at a $6.6 million market cap. A 20x, that's $13.2 million. And a 50x would mean a $33 million valuation. The crazy part is, because the total number of tokens is so incredibly small, even these market cap jumps can translate into some pretty eye-popping potential prices per token. It's a totally different kind of math. But are those numbers just a pipe dream? Well, according to the source material, a market cap somewhere in that $5 to $15 million range is actually considered pretty achievable for a niche DeFi protocol that, actually works and generates revenue. That means that 10x to 20x range we just looked at isn't some crazy fantasy. In theory, it's right in the sweet spot for a project that delivers on its promises.
And that brings us to the big reality check. Because a brilliant design on paper is one thing, but it is completely, totally meaningless without delivery. The real bet here isn't on the tokenomics. It's on whether the team can actually pull it off.
This slide really gets to the heart of it all. On one side, you have this elegant, perfect on-paper design of a supply squeeze, and on the other, you have the very real, very serious risk of execution. I mean, what if those revenue streams are just a tiny trickle? What if liquidity is so thin you can't get out?
The success of eShare is chained to the success of the entire ecosystem it's a part of.
So what are the red flags to watch for? Where could this whole thing fall apart? Well, what if the Fusion marketplace is a ghost town? What if the DexFi bonds don't actually generate any meaningful yield? What if the game and partnership money is basically zero or just takes forever to show up? And of course, there's always the risk that early insiders just decide to sell into any hype. These are the real risks you have to weigh against that beautiful design.
And that brings us to our final question, the one that sums this all up. You have a design that, on paper, looks like a perfect recipe for a supply squeeze. So, is flawless execution the only thing standing between this token and some serious growth? That's the question we'll leave you with. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.